So I thought I'd give some initial impressions of the new game that was released, Aurion. To start with the graphics are a bit of a mixed bag. When you look at it in stills and screenshots, it looks pretty good, and when you get into the game, in still shots, it does look good, but then some of the art is a bit hit and miss in places. Some of it looks very, very good, and some of it looks pretty bad. And the same can also be said for the animation as well. The animation, you'd expect there to be more frames of animation. I know they're under a very, very strict budget being a Kickstarter, so you see the odd bit of really, really good animation, and then you see a lot of bit, like there's one bit where you see these dancers in the background, and it seems like they've only got a couple of frames of animation. It looks very, very jarring. The story seems not too bad, but again, it's kind of suffering a bit of it's lacking a lot of polish in that way, because you see a lot of text, just little things like mistranslation, or just little jarring things like where there's a space where there shouldn't be, or there's two words joined together, and some of the writing doesn't seem to be that great. Again, probably due to limited budgets. I think they were based in somewhere in Africa, so I'm sure they had to get like an external translating team to do that. So I imagine that it could do with a bit of a polish there. Gameplay is a bit of a mixture of loads of different RPGs. It seems to be set on a 2D plane for the combat, and it's kind of like a real-time thing, a bit like Tales of Symphonia or Star Ocean games, but just you can jump, you can combo, there's a lot of attacks you can do, and it does seem to get quite in depth later. There's quite a lot to learn. I think it can be a bit overwhelming to begin with, because they do throw quite a lot of stuff at you. But there does seem to be a good amount of skill required. I kind of wish sometimes with the animation and stuff, it seems to be very, very jerky, the motion at times. It sometimes looks like you're almost teleporting, like it's missed a frame, which is kind of weird. I also wish there was more sense of impact when you actually hit enemies. It can get a bit confusing with all that going on, but I did actually find it fun. I found it a lot easier. Once you're against one or two enemies, it seems it's fairly more straightforward and there's a lot of fun, but once you get against a load of enemies, it does seem to be a bit overwhelming. During the actual non-combat gameplay, it's pretty much exploring, talking to NPCs, and collecting items, so that all does seem to be pretty good. But yeah, I think the game overall, I'm going to put more time into it. I do think it seems fun. I hope they do go in and add a bit more polish though, because I think it could do with just a bit of tidying up, and hopefully they can just make the game. But I think the core basics are there. I think the core is sound. They just need to add improvements and polish just to make the game better overall. Hopefully they do continue to support the game mode anyway.